Give yourself permission to be disliked. Most people think freedom means having the ability to do whatever they want. I think freedom is something much quieter. Freedom is no longer needing permission from people who were never qualified to give it. Freedom is making a decision without first imagining how everyone else will react. Freedom is speaking honestly without rehearsing how to avoid criticism. Freedom is understanding that someone can dislike your choice without making it the wrong choice. And perhaps most importantly, freedom is giving yourself permission to be disliked. For much of my life, I confused being liked with being successful. If people approved of me, I felt secure. If people were happy with me, I felt like I was doing something right. If everyone got along, I felt at peace. The more I tried to be liked by everyone, the less freedom I gave myself to be who I truly was. And that is a price that is far too high. The price of being liked is often too high. Most people do not realize how much they sacrifice in exchange for approval. They sacrifice opinions, boundaries, dreams, opportunities, authenticity. They stay quiet when they want to speak. They stay small when they want to grow. They remain where they are when every part of them knows it is time to move forward, not because it is what they want, because they fear what other people might think. Every time you abandon yourself to keep someone else comfortable, the cost is your freedom. And over time, those costs add up. People pleasing looks harmless until it isn't. Many people pleasing behaviors are celebrated: being accommodating, being agreeable, being easygoing, being helpful. None of those qualities are inherently bad. The problem begins when they come at the expense of your own truth. When your desire to be liked becomes stronger than your desire to be honest. When maintaining approval becomes more important than maintaining integrity. At that point, people pleasing stops being kindness. It becomes self abandonment. Some people only like the version of you they can control. This can be one of the hardest truths to accept. Not everyone who likes you likes the real you. Some people like the version of you that never says no, the version that prioritizes their needs, the version that avoids conflict, the version that remains predictable and easy to manage. The moment you begin setting boundaries, changing directions, or making decisions for yourself, their opinion of you may change. Not because you became worse, because you became harder to control. That is not a reason to stop growing. It is often evidence that growth is happening. Approval is a terrible compass. Imagine trying to navigate your life based entirely on what other people approve of. You would never take a meaningful risk. You would never make a bold decision. You would never challenge expectations. You would never pursue a dream that made someone uncomfortable. Every entrepreneur has been criticized. Every artist has been doubted. Every leader has disappointed someone. Every person who has ever chosen authenticity over conformity has faced disapproval. Approval is not a reliable guide. It changes with the audience. It changes with circumstances. It changes with expectations. Your values are a much better compass. Authenticity and universal approval cannot coexist. This realization can feel uncomfortable. The more authentic you become, the more likely it is that some people will dislike you. Not because you are doing something wrong, because authenticity creates clarity. People see who you really are. Some will resonate with that, some will not. And that is perfectly normal. What is not normal is expecting universal approval while living authentically. The two cannot coexist. At some point, you must decide which matters more. Disappointment is not the same as harm. Many people struggle because they confuse disappointing someone with hurting them. The two are not the same. You can disappoint someone by setting a boundary. You can disappoint someone by choosing a different path. You can disappoint someone by prioritizing your well-being. You can disappoint someone by refusing to live according to their expectations. None of those things are inherently harmful. They simply mean your choices no longer align with someone else's preferences. You are allowed to disappoint people. You are not responsible for managing every expectation placed on you. Criticism is often the price of visibility. The more visible you become, the more opinions people will have. This is true in business, in relationships, in leadership, in creativity, in personal growth. Someone will always disagree. Someone will always misunderstand. Someone will always criticize. That does not mean you should stop. It means you are participating in life. The goal is not to avoid criticism. The goal is to avoid allowing criticism to determine your direction. You do not need to attend every opinion. One of the most freeing realizations is that you do not have to respond to every judgment. You do not have to correct every misunderstanding. You do not have to defend every choice. You do not have to convince every critic. People are allowed to have opinions, and you are allowed to keep living your life anyway. The moment you stop treating every opinion like a summons, you reclaim an incredible amount of energy. Energy that can be invested into building the life you actually want. Freedom is an inside job. The moment you stop needing everyone to understand you, your world becomes larger. The moment you stop needing everyone to approve of you, your choices become clearer. The moment you stop needing everyone to like you, your life becomes your own. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, you buy back a small piece of your freedom. Every time you honor your truth instead of someone else's expectations, you reclaim another piece. And eventually, those pieces add up. They become confidence. They become self-trust. They become peace. Most importantly, they become a life that finally feels like yours. Give yourself permission to be disliked, not because you want conflict, not because you do not care about others, but because freedom is too valuable to trade for approval. And the people who truly belong in your life will appreciate the real version of you far more than the performance. Slay reflection. S. See the fear. Where in your life are you holding back because you fear being disliked? L. Look at the cost. What opportunities, boundaries, or dreams have you sacrificed in exchange for approval? A. Acknowledge the truth. What decision do you already know is right for you, even if not everyone agrees? Why? Your next step. What is one way you can choose authenticity over approval this week? Call to action. Join the conversation. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever made a decision that disappointed others but ultimately gave you greater freedom? Share your story in the comments. Let's cheer each other on. And if you know someone who might need this reminder, send this to them. Sometimes all we need is a nudge. I'm Carrie Genzel, reading a blog from stateofslay.com. Slay on.